Good morning, everyone, and welcome to CKLU Radio on 96.7 FM. This is your host, Miranda Roccatricelli, and you are listening to Quantum Love Radio. Today, I have a very special guest. I have Mr. Lafon Baz, who's an expert facilitator in meditation. I actually met Mr. Lafon Baz a while ago when I started to learn and to opened my mind to the wonderful world of meditation, and I took one of his courses about 6 years ago. And since that time, I have been practicing and using meditation in my life, I want to say almost daily, but we'll get into that a little bit later. And I've invited him here to give us some more insight, some more knowledge about all the good stuff that comes with meditation. And maybe he could even give us how we can start to meditate in our lives to really create some transformational change, which I believe, for myself, that's what I've experienced. So welcome, Mr. Lafon Baz.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for being here.
Happy to be here.
So maybe you can tell us, how did you even get into this? I mean, out of all the things that you can do out there, how did you get into teaching meditation?
We're going back 41 years now.
That's good. No, I think it's important for people to know just how long it's really been, and it's been around much longer than that, but the importance of, your story.
My goodness. At the time, I had finished my studies at Lawrence University in the sciences. In Montreal, with somebody called Albert Paquette and Pierre Germain. Had written music for some of the creative plays that we had put together, and we were in Montreal recording this music as suggested by individuals that were part of the group, the theater group. And in the process of wanting, how can I say that, more energy, more creativity, we read an ad in a newspaper that said, "Free introduction to transcendental meditation as taught by somebody called Maharishi Mahesh Yogi," with a picture of the yogi in the newspaper. And my buddy said, "Oh, we've heard some good things about this." And I said to them, "No, not good thing, right? There are other gurus out there who had notoriety. Like for instance, Jonestown, mass suicides, whatever. And I was concerned about giving my mind to some master. So I suggested to him to stay away. Literally. And said, no, we heard some good things. We're going. We have to go check this out. I'll go with them, listen to what the teacher has to say, and then use that information to convince them not to do this. Literally. Right? So I went and sat down, and who shows up for individuals? The guru was in there, but his teachers were there, all dressed properly, in suits and ties and whatever. And they started to teach us about somebody called Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, who came to North America in 1957 with a master's degree in physics. The first thing he said when he showed up was, "You people are stressed." And I was the first person to use the term stress to identify the human condition. Before that, we talked about nervous breakdowns, whole physical, mental, emotional breakdown. Maharishi called it stress, which is a physical term that the science of physics uses to identify a piece of equipment that's breaking down, like stress cracks in airplane wings or an engine block. It's got stress cracks in it. And now today, everybody talks about stress.
They do.
Everybody, all over the world, talks about stress. Relationship stress, work stress, etc., etc. But he was the first person to use that term to identify the human condition. And so they were talking about the Maharishi's approach to meditation and the science behind it, because it's been studied by science over the last 40, 50 years, over 600 times. And that's why it's so popular today, because more and more science is studying the effects of meditation on the mind, on the body, on your emotions, on your relationships, on your hurt.
Also, as a scientist, you were getting, food for thought in that area.
Absolutely, yes. So I started. My buddies didn't.
Oh, that's funny. That's always how it works. How ironic.
Yeah, but after I started, they decided they should get started as well. And we used the meditation on the road. When we were doing concerts, whatever, we'd meditate before the concert to calm us down. And we also used it when we were writing music, to be more creative. And it proceeded from there. So I started on on a foot where I didn't want to get involved in this.
Right.
And I did.
Okay.
And I haven't looked back since. And so from there, I ended up realizing that the music business was bad for my health.
Okay.
So I left the music business.
Were you getting stressed from it?
No, like before I started meditating, of course there was stress.
Right.
Lack of sleep, too much partying,
yeah.
drugs, alcohol,
right.
etc., etc.
All the good old times.
All the good old times. Party yourself to death.
Right.
And when I started meditating, I realized that all of these things were hindering.
That's right.
With my health. I was getting old faster than I should be. Whereas the meditation is supposed to do the opposite. It's supposed to reverse the aging process.
That's right.
Which it does. Scientifically speaking, we have proof that it actually reverses the aging process. And so I decided to step back.
Okay.
And like the Maharishi said, look at the toxins. So that being a toxic part of my life, I stepped back, moved back to, there was a Transcending meditation center here in Sudbury.
Oh, really?
Operated by 4 individuals. They've been here for a few years already.
And when was this?
This was back in 1975.
Wow, I wish that was still around.
And so I participated in the activities that they had there.
Okay.
Did a course in the what they call Science of Creative Intelligence.
Okay.
Started to learn how to teach with these teachers.
Okay.
And in 1985, the Maharishi called all the teachers back from the smaller centers into the larger cities like Montreal and Toronto.
Okay.
Because there was more need in these big cities than there was in the small towns.
Okay.
So we lost our teachers. But I continued studying.
Okay.
I would go on retreats in Huntsville for 2 weeks at a time.
Okay.
Meditate more and watching more videos on the teachings by the Maharishi.
Okay.
And after 9 years of that, I sort of stepped back.
Okay.
And thought, what else is out there?
Right.
Right? They can't have a monopoly on meditation.
Right.
And so I looked at Buddhist breathing meditation. I looked at the Tamil meditation techniques from southern India. I looked at the Sant Mat tradition and realized that they all had something to offer. I'm learning a few things from some of the native people culture. So about 19 years ago, out of the blue, somebody asked me if I would teach them how to meditate.
Okay.
And I said, word of mouth. 19 years later, over 5,000 individuals, Falls, North Bay, Ottawa. And
it just shows you how the evolution, even though, a practice that's been around for so long, really is still just starting to break through with so many individuals. And, I mean, I personally have experienced the power of meditation, because I do think it's a powerful tool if you learn how to use it, appropriately and consistently, which I do struggle with here and there. But I have found that it has enabled my creativity. Anytime that I feel stuck or stressed, I find that, and it's more about prevention, because I find if you can consistently meditate, you can avoid, you're not affected by the stress, or you don't become stressed.
According to the Maharishi, and 80% of what I teach comes from the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi.
Okay.
The reason we have stress is because there's an imbalance between rest and activity. In our culture, we're being way more active than we used to be, say even 50 years ago.
Okay.
And we're not getting the rest that we need, especially with the screen. Whether it's TV or computers or those handheld machines, whatever, right? People are not getting the rest that they need.
Sure.
And so we need to create balance. And Maharishi's antidote to stress is deep rest. Now, not all meditations are the same.
That's right. I've read that.
But Transcending meditation is the only technique that doesn't require you to do anything.
Okay.
We're doing all day, but we're not human doings. We're not human thinkings. We're human beings.
Well, I say it's the day and age of the modern zombie, where people are literally on autopilot and they're walking around. They're completely not consciously aware of what they're doing, what they're eating, nor do they want to be, because once you kind of cross that line, it means accountability for where you're at in your life and your health, your everything about, you is a matter of taking accountability and saying, I've made these choices, now I need to stop, assess them, and make better choices in life.
Good, yes.
And so I found with meditation, all that seems to fall into place, and you start to learn more about yourself and the choices you've made and how you can make better choices in life. And because you are in that more calm state of being, there's clarity. And you kind of get those aha moments where you're thinking, wait a second, I can't eat this. I need to start eating more consciously. I need to start, being more consciously, doing more consciously. I'm a parent. I want to be more of a conscious parent. We touched on this on my last show, and it's just about learning and being creative, because that's why we're really here.
And living.
And living, of course.
Not just surviving.
And and you get that all the time where people, you ask them how they're doing and say, well, I'm surviving, I'm dealing with life. And it just kind of, you sit there and you cringe because you're thinking, oh, what a horrible way of going through your day-to-day activities, that you're just dealing with it instead of living it and experiencing it and expressing it. And I just, you hear that so often. And I found that meditation really helped me to start living versus dealing. And I really believe that it was purely the meditation. And I mean, there are different forms, and I believe I think for people who are just starting out, it's really taking that moment to just focus on your breath and just have that moment of comedy and clarity, whether it's for a few minutes, but just to give yourself a moment in time where you can just be. I don't know if that's, obviously you teach that in your courses.
You do very well.
Okay. I remember it, and for me it came at a time where, and it didn't mean that my life didn't get stressful at some point after that, and it was really just trying to figure out how to, live a better life through, encompassing the meditation, healthy eating, and it's always you're kind of always readjusting and making sure that you have that equilibrium in your life.
And the thing about the meditation also is it's not a belief system.
And I think a lot of people, and that's why they get afraid of meditation, because they're thinking, is this a religion? Is this a belief? Is this voodoo? So maybe we could talk a little bit about how it's not any of those.
Absolutely. The essence of you is beyond your body-mind. Mm-hmm. And as long as the mind is active, all we know is the mind. Mm-hmm. Example, if I'm standing on the dock in the middle of the night, diving into the lake to cool off, there's no wind.
That's right.
It turns into a mirror that is reflecting infinity back to me. The lake is there, but I don't see it. Right? I see it. But if I dive into the lake and create some waves, I lose the infinity, but the lake is back. It's the same thing with the mind. As long as the mind is active, all we know is the mind. But we don't know that which is aware of the thoughts. We're not aware of the witness, the I am.
It's until we pay attention to it.
And if we put our attention properly with the right attitude, right, on, like you say, the breath, and we just take it as it comes. Like the Beatles said, let it be.
Let it be.
Just let it be.
And all you need is love, right?
Right. And the whole thing just settles down completely by itself. There's no manipulation, because the minute you manipulate, you're using the mind to try to calm the mind.
That's right.
And like Einstein said, you can't solve a problem with the same mind that created the problem in the first place.
That's right.
Right? So you just let it be. Let Mother Nature do what she knows how to do already. On its own, the mind becomes totally quiet. And in that quiet mind, it's left but nothing. No thoughts. Mind turns into a mirror that reflects the self back to itself. And the true self, not the ego self.
That's right.
As programmed in the mind as a false sense of self. Right? The I am, that I am a male, that I am a husband, that I'm a son, that I am a meditation teacher or whatever, right? That's not what I am. These are experiences in life.
That's
but
right.
who's the experiencer? Where is the experiencer? Who is the real me in all of this? And as long as I'm thinking, I'm stuck in the mind. But I have to stop. The darn thing is, you can't stop the mind from thinking, right? Because you have to use the mind to stop the mind from thinking. Now you're adding another thought on top of it.
Catch-22 sometimes.
Right. So the conundrum is, how does the mind stop thinking? And the conundrum is by allowing it to think. And just like when you eat food, as long as you put food in your body, your digestive system is going to digest.
That's right.
As long as you're putting stuff in your mind, it's going to need to digest that stuff.
That's right.
How does it digest this stuff? Well, we know about brain plasticity today. It rewires itself constantly.
It does.
But if we stop putting stuff in there, on its own, it'll stop thinking. It'll finish the digestive process. Just like when you stop putting food in your stomach, right?
Yeah.
Whereas before Maharishi came along, we were taught that we needed to concentrate on stopping the mind from thinking. Right? We needed to concentrate on a mantra, for instance, or concentrate on the breath. Follow the breath. Pay attention to your thoughts, whatever. But with trance meditation, there's absolutely nothing to do. There's nothing to do.
Got it.
Just let it be. And it happens by itself. And the reason it happens by itself is because the body-mind was designed to do that in the first place.
It was. We've just been so conditioned with everything, and through the years that we it's stopping and smelling the roses. Just take a moment to do these things. Actually, it's funny when you're talking about the brain wiring, and I remember I read a quote from Dr. Deepak Chopra the other day, and he said something along the lines, neurons that fire together, wire together. And it's just such a beautiful expression, because ultimately you can almost like condition your own brain to have this oneness with itself. And it's just through that practice of really being in the now. And it's really hard for people to get used to that, because...
But people don't even know what the now is.
No, they don't know what the now is. They're always thinking of, the yesterday and then the future, and they're always focusing on... And I always say it's like a dog chasing its tail. If you're always looking at the future for an experience that you're anticipating or that you want to manifest, you're literally chasing your tail, because if you keep trying to reach out, you're never going to get there. So you have to start, taking that time, smelling the roses, appreciating and living in today. And that took me a while, too, I have to say, personally. That took me a really long time, and I think, for me personally, especially being an entrepreneur, having small children, it was, finding that balance between appreciating and enjoying being a parent with the chaos of small children and the anticipation of building a business, and just learning to just enjoy it all as it is in that moment. Because you're conditioned to want to have everything and do everything, and you want to, and you want to enjoy, especially your children being small, because they're only small for such a short period of time, and there's so many precious moments within that I found I really had to learn how to appreciate. And it took me, I'd say a good 2 years before I really came into enjoying the now. And it really wasn't until I came to a point where I had no choice but to start enjoying the now, because I thought, I'm not happy with where I am right now. The only thing I can do is start being happy. I mean, what a concept, right?
Instead of looking for happiness,
that's right.
You discover that you are on that level of the now that you are, joy, pure bliss, which is beyond happiness. And in that state of consciousness, we bring happiness to events, to moments, no matter what they are.
It is. And then, everyone could think of a time where, something was happening where they weren't so happy, and you somehow found some sort of joy in that moment, and whether it was through a joke or something that, sometimes, let's say you're angry at your kids for doing something, and all of a sudden something just makes you laugh in that moment, and it just lightens it up, and I think that's where you just learn to start finding the joy and bringing the joy.
Because you are present in that moment.
That's right.
You're not lost in your mind somewhere else.
That's right.
Right? And as long as the mind is running the show, you're not living. To live, you have to be in the now. And the now is you.
That's right. It's not
so much the moment that is happening.
That's right.
Moments go by all the time.
They do.
They come and go. Right? So which one do you want to latch on to and hold on to? Right? The now is what you are.
That's right.
The I am, the eternal being that you are, that has always been the now.
Well, it is, and I think that's so hard for people to understand, and I guess how I try to express it to people is letting go of the ego. Because the ego is really the one that wants to run the show. It's the man behind the curtain. It's the, I want to be in control. I need to have these emotions. If it's not this way, and that's the ego. And the ego is not us. It really isn't. And I think that's the hardest thing is when people are acting out of anything but love. They're acting out through their ego. And it's such a hard. And I'm not saying that I still have times where the ego's coming in. And I guess it's that fight or flight mechanism that the ego controls. And you're thinking, no, I need to fight this. And that's the ego.
And that's, again, now you're dealing with two different parts of the brain.
Right.
You've got the intellect, judging what the reptilian brain is doing, fight or flight response. And now the mind is fighting the mind. The trick is to go out of your mind.
Ah, yes, I know.
Not to stay in the mind, but to go out of them. That's what the meditation is about. Transcending is to go out of the everyday experience of the body-mind and go into the experience of the being that you are, the stillness that you are.
I actually just read an article about that and how scientifically, nowadays we have the technology, so I don't consider this a pseudoscience anymore. I consider this, scientific, where they put individuals through an MRI, and they're actually able to detect that the fight or flight mechanism through, I think it's the amygdala. I don't want to start. Here's my anatomy coming in. Brain. Okay, and so that is starting to shrink in people who consistently meditate, and that's exactly what you just said.
The influence is shrinking. Yes,
that's right.
Definitely.
And so they can detect that now.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's not, just la voodoo or some foreign paradigm that we're talking about. It's factually detected.
Thanks to Maharishi, some 50-some years ago, insisting that the scientists of the day take the time to investigate the functionings of the brain, the chemistry of the body, emotional state of people while they're meditating, short-term, medium-term, and long-term, and see the results that they're getting. And it's all there now. The science is there to back all this up.
It is, and it's a beautiful thing for anyone who, disputes any of it. And really all you have to do is just start a little bit, and you will see it. And that's why I say it's such a transforming process, because you really do notice the difference in yourself.
Yeah.
And you really start to live in the now, and all those good things, your health, everything just starts to feel good.
Yes, because the equipment's functioning properly.
I know. You're using the right oil, and you're taking the time to oil the machine, so it's not getting stressed. You're actually starting to appreciate yourself and who you really are, not the ego. And it doesn't mean there's times, like I said, there's experiences where, it tries to get in there, but you become more conscious of it, where you can stop and say, no, this isn't me, this is my ego, and I don't need to act out in that way to satisfy my ego. I'm happy with the way it is.
Now, here's a little trick you can use to help you with that.
This is good.
There's something that everybody does on a regular basis to save the body from the mind.
Okay.
Right? The mind has a built-in mechanism to quieten the mind.
Okay.
What does the body do? It sighs. Did you ever sigh before?
Many times.
So I looked at that a few years back. Like, why does the body sigh? And I looked at the mechanics of sighing. And what does the body do when it sighs? And especially when the mind's going crazy.
Trying to get oxygen.
Happens, right? It takes a deep breath.
Right.
It puts in more oxygen the body needs, and it just lets go. Right? Try that right now. Right? Let go. You just stop breathing. Right? Now do it again.
Did. I totally did.
Right?
That's funny.
And the teachings from the Far East have said for a long time, when the body doesn't breathe, the mind doesn't think. The body doesn't breathe, the mind doesn't think.
Got it.
And every time somebody sighs, it stops the body from breathing, and automatically it stops the mind from thinking. Automatically. It's built into the physiology of the body-mind. Mother Nature created that for us to save the body from the torture that the mind is creating. And remember, every time that the mind thinks a thought, it creates a chemistry, neuropeptides.
It does.
Right? That's how brain cells communicate with each other. And these neuropeptides go to every cell in your body through your circulatory system almost instantaneously. And every cell in your body is a balloon of saline solution with little keyholes in it. And these neuropeptides lock into one of these keyholes, and it literally changes the chemistry of the cell. So if you're stressed, you're producing stress hormones, which creates stress in every cell of your body.
That's right.
And it's not it's life-destructive, literally, which creates degenerative disease in the long term, right? It causes heart disease, et cetera, right? What's the number one cause of heart disease? People don't know. They think smoking, lack of exercise, bad diet, that accounts combined together, that accounts for maybe 20% of the cause of heart disease.
I know.
The major cause of heart disease is hating your job.
I believe it.
Over 52% of people who end up with heart disease, the reason for it is because they hate the job. And
just to give people a quick little indication, then we'll go to break. I taught a course on pharmacology a few years back, and I think a good book for most people to reference on the whole, when you talked about the cells and the receptors, is The Biology of Belief, where I think he gets into that. And so every cell in your body has these receptors, and they're very unique. We'll call them they'll have certain shapes. And so they're very unique to what comes into the body has to fit that particular receptor cell, so the cell actually responds to it. And, you mentioned about how when we're in a certain state, we produce chemicals. Anytime there's a thought, there's the chemicals that are produced. They go through your body, and they will respond to those receptors on cells, and the cells will react. Now, the pharmaceutical industry, not that we're going to get into this too much, but when, they develop, chemicals for your body or medicine for your body, they are studying those receptor cells, and they are trying to suit medication to fit those receptor cells so that the cells are affected in the way in which they want to affect them. So whether it's to block pain or whatever it is. So these receptor cells are so key in our processes, and that's why it's important to start to become more conscious, understand how the thoughts affect the body so that you can start to have good thoughts, send those good chemicals into your body, and literally affect every cell in your being to feel good. And it's that simple. So we're gonna take a quick break. I think this is we're having a great conversation. We're really opening people's eyes to the importance, the validation, and just really how meditation can help you live a better life. And I'm here with Lafon Baz, and you're listening to Quantum Love, and we'll take a quick little break, and we will be back, and hopefully I can hello, and you're back with Quantum Love Radio on CKLU on 96.7, and I'm your host, Miranda Rocca, and today my featured guest is Laframboise, who's an expert meditation facilitator, and we have been talking about all things meditation, how Mr. Laframboise got started in meditation, his journey, and really just talking about the benefits of meditation. And I think one thing that we started to touch on that we kind of veered off, just how, people are maybe intimidated of meditation to some level. And I know, using the word intimidation with meditation, doesn't really go. But some people are. They're scared to start meditating because they don't know, first of all, is it going to impede on a particular religion? People have certain beliefs. They feel that maybe meditation is not in line or it's going to impede on those beliefs. So maybe we could touch a little bit more on that, because I really want people to know that meditation is not a religion, it's not a belief, it's really neutral, and it's just, maybe you could talk a little bit more about that.
Most of the meditation that we know of today is based on understanding, and the science behind it is helping us to understand more and more how ability to be a better Christian, a better Muslim, a better Buddhist, whatever religion you practice. Meditation is basically a practice that goes back thousands of years, thousands and thousands of years. And it's something that all cultures practice once upon a time. We know from the Genome Project right now, right? We know about the genes that make up the human body, that all non-black cultures originated. And India is the mother of meditation. And Transcending meditation in India is known as the mother of all meditations. And when it comes to Transcending meditation, because it's totally natural, it's a totally natural process. What do I mean by body, mind, your nervous system has developed an ability to experience a fourth state of consciousness, beyond the three states of consciousness experience right now. Dream state consciousness, where we experience something that's we know when we wake up into waking consciousness, it was just an illusion. And we know that in waking consciousness, we're somewhat aware of the truth that we are living. Right? But science is realizing today that we're using maybe 5% of our potential. The other 95% is an illusion created in our minds, just like it creates illusions in dream state. But the nervous system that we have has built in within itself. Mother Nature put it there for us. The ability to experience the meditative state of consciousness, the fourth state of consciousness, that allows us to go beyond the experience of the mind, the illusions. Just like when you wake up in the morning, you're moving into a more real reality, where there are realities that are even more real than this. And we don't have to believe in this. Right? It's an experience that is the teacher. I'm not going to teach people how to believe in this or that. What do we find in that fourth state of consciousness? The truth of what we are. Beyond the thoughts, beyond the emotions, beyond the body, there is a being there that is present. Whereas somethingness, then it would be that thing, just like the mind is a thing that creates thoughts. The heart is a thing that creates emotions. The body is a thing that creates physical experience, things that are finite in value. But there has to be something there beyond that can have all of these experiences, be aware of all these experiences. Just like the blank screen at a movie theater. First, it has to be blank.
That's right.
And then on that blank screen, you project on the level of being, I'm not a somethingness. I'm just pure conscious. But it's not about believing in that. It's about having a direct experience.
Right.
I'm just a technician helping people have the right attitude. There's no concentration involved. There's no contemplation involved. With that attitude, just like when you go to bed at night. What do?
You close your eyes and you go to sleep.
You go to close your eyes and you do nothing. And you go to sleep. And what do you do when you're sleeping? Nothing. And you wake up, hopefully 8 hours later, feeling refreshed. Right? Mother Nature did it all for you.
That's right.
Meditation is an extension of that.
Okay.
We teach people how to sit down, close their eyes, and have the right attitude so that they fall awake. Scientists who studied this process, psychologists who studied this process back in the 1970s, called it a process of falling awake as opposed to falling asleep.
Got it.
Why? Because as the body goes into a deep state of rest, with the attitude that we have, the body will go into a state of rest that's twice as deep as it takes 6 hours of sleep to produce. Within a matter of that deep state of rest, the mind becomes more and more awake at the same time.
Yes.
We'd fall asleep.
And that's where we're tapping into that 95% that we're not
That's
using.
right. And not only that, we're clearing that 95%.
That's right.
That's trapped with all the programming and the fears and the beliefs and the trappings of life, the clogging the mind that keeps coming up in our consciousness while we're in activity, distracting us from what we have to do.
That's right.
Right? The mind's going somewhere else instead of being here.
Right? I can see that's why you're saying it's a state of awakeness, because once you start to transfer that 95% into more of the
conscious mind.
That's right. And so you become a conscious being and you're more awake into living your experiences here on Earth. So, yeah, no, that makes, I think, and most people who, I've tried to influence into meditation and to just getting into that mindfulness, have issues with quieting the mind. So maybe you could talk a little bit about that, because a lot of people will start trying to meditate, and then they will back away because they're telling me that, I can't quiet my mind just, and they give up.
Yes.
So maybe we can help those people just start the process a little bit.
The mind was designed to think. And so if you try to coerce the mind to do something that it was designed to do in the first place, you just give up. I had tried, before Transcending meditation, a form of meditation that required me to concentrate on the mantra, to quiet the mind with it, to suppress any other thoughts that came in the meditation, and concentrate. Even Maharshi came along, and by the way, he's not the instigator of this. It's his teacher, who back in the late 1800s left home when he was 9 years old and joined the Shankaracharya tradition and ended up meditating 12 to 16 hours a day, every day in the same cave for over 30 years. We recognized the purity of the teachings that had been lost for hundreds of years, where there's no concentration involved. We have to allow Mother Nature to do what it needs to do. And he realized that stress comes out the same way it came in. It comes out. So when the mind is caught up in itself, trying to rewire itself, just this stuff, the 50 to 150,000 thoughts a day that you're putting in there, right? It's constantly going back into itself, thinking of yesterday, worrying about tomorrow. And what do we do in activity? We suppress it.
We do.
We do, absolutely. We don't have time for that.
No, we sweep it under the carpet.
That's right. We have to concentrate on what we're doing. So when we meditate, what do? We allow Mother Nature to do what she's trying to do. She's trying to wire the brain, detoxify every cell in the body. And it's an active process. So of course there's going to be thoughts when I'm meditating. Absolutely.
Everything's coming out then.
But this time now, I'm not going to allow it. Just let it be. Allow it. It completes itself. Everything that has a beginning comes to an end. This too shall pass. And so if I take the attitude of just letting it on its own, it completes the process. And beyond the thing.
So what you're saying is when people, they close their eyes, they start taking their deep breaths, and these thoughts are coming into their head. Just let them come.
Let them be. They're going to happen anyways.
That's right.
And you're going to get lost in them anyways.
That's right.
So why create more stress?
That's right.
But if you allow it, it passes.
That's right.
And all you need to do is basically this. It's as simple as this. When it's easy, and only when it's easy, gently and slowly, without effort or concentration, come back to the sensation of the breath. I don't concentrate on the breath. I don't try to visualize the breath. I don't even observe the breath. I just feel it. I'm just aware of the sensation of the breath. And automatically, the body-mind is going to want to clean house some more. And as it does that, it's going to create some activity in my consciousness. Thoughts, some little emotions, right, some physical sensation. Stress comes out as physical sensation. Emotional stress comes out as struggle. Right? Okay. And we may even get lost in it. That's okay.
That's okay.
That's fine. And then once the process is finished, you realize, oh, I was gone somewhere. That's okay. You just release lots of stuff.
And I think that's, for people who for years have just swept those emotions, those thoughts under that rug, they're going to get much more coming through during that time. And it's not a matter of giving up.
No.
Let it be.
Yeah.
And just continue, because if you've been, you've been suppressing for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, it may take you some time before you can get to that mindfulness and that,
Exactly. With me, it was anger.
Okay.
It was anger. The upbringing that I had and the family environment that I had, which was very violent. My church had taught me that if I was to die in this, so of course I suppressed it.
Well, of course.
I lived in fear.
Well, fear of fear.
Yes. Now, with the teachings I received, they said, allow the anger. Okay. Allow the thoughts. They're not your thoughts. They're your mind's thoughts.
That's right.
You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You're the one who's finally listened. I allowed it. They came up. I didn't struggle with them. I didn't resist them. I didn't try to do anything with them. They dissolved.
Okay.
And that made room for what? For love.
That's right. That's right. And I think that's where, again, a lot of people struggle, where, and I've seen it, and where people are, and I think if you don't take the time to learn how to let those thoughts just be in that moment of mindfulness, then eventually those emotions that have been suppressed, those thoughts, come out physically.
Yes.
And that's where we get disease, and we get illness, and we get all these other manifestations that we really, we sit there and we say, why is this happening? But when we ultimately take that moment, we see that everything's been suppressed, and the body just is stressed, and it's on the verge of breaking.
And the reason we do that is because we fear, right, those thoughts and emotions in the first. I'm like that.
Oh, how often do you hear, it's my emotions, not me? That's another expression that drives me bananas, because it's not that way. Your emotions are not you. You have to learn.
It's what your body mind is going through.
That's right.
Because of the experiences it's gone through, and it's been programmed within every cell of the body.
That's
it's
right.
not just in the brain cell, it's within every cell of the body.
Right.
And the body mind wants to release that. But when it comes out the same way it came in. It comes out.
Right.
I walked into this room today. I'm going to walk out of the room.
That's right.
It's the same thing with every thought, every emotion. But we suppress it.
That's right.
And so what we resist persists. And when it persists, it grows and it festers, and eventually it overcomes us. And that's why in North America, the average North American spends the last 10 years of their lives being sick.
No, I don't want it either. And I think that's where you have to make that conscious choice to start practicing meditation, mindfulness.
Now, the thing about meditation, however, it's like reading. Everybody's got the ability to meditate. There's no doubt about it. That's right. Because it's natural for the human body to do so. Everybody's got the ability to read. But you need to learn to read from someone who's there with you how to practice the meditation properly.
Because it can get frustrating. And again, that's where people may just decide, no, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
And walk away. And again, then they'll just go back into that vicious cycle of suppression.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
I just can't do it. I can't do it. And you can't. Nobody can. I can't do it. I can't meditate. I can't control sleep. I can't control my dreams. I can't control the mind. But what I can do, is have an attitude that allows laws of nature to do what they need to do. That's all I need is an attitude. And the whole process happens by itself. Your body will take you into that state if you allow it. You can't force your body to change body temperature. You can't force your body to grow more hair. Well, it's all already designed in the body mind to do this. The thing is, and what do I need by attitude? Very simply. For instance, again, I'm standing on the dock, getting ready to dive into the water.
Okay.
Right? Attitude, as defined by the science of physics, is the angle of approach of an object as it moves from one medium into another. Okay. My body, being the object, has an angle of approach when it goes into the water. Okay. Right? That's the attitude. That's right. Now, if I approach the water horizontally, it's going to be painful, and I'm not going to go very deep. Okay. Right? I'm be forcing the process. That's right. But if I'm approaching the water vertically, it's going to be a comfortable process, and I'll go very deep. That's right. That's all we need to to move from ordinary waking consciousness into what we call transcendental consciousness, all we need is an attitude. And with that attitude, it happens by itself, automatically.
I can see what you're saying. When there's a certain way that needs to be taught to you and how to do it, and I take that approach and the angle of which you're approaching meditation, taking your analogy there, and learning how to dive. Of course, the more you learn how, the deeper you'll go into the water, and the less of a splash you'll make, right? So if you can learn these processes, then it's going to be such a wonderful experience in the end for you, because I think that's the problem. People don't know what meditation is, and they have all these different beliefs about it, and concepts, that it's whatever it is, and so they'll approach it, and I'm not even sure what they're approaching, and then they get scared, or they don't do it right, or all these thoughts come up, and they're thinking, this can't be right because I'm getting up. So I think it's important for people to understand that all that is okay, and you need to learn how to approach it in a way that's going to work for you. Because if you don't do it the right way, then you will get scared and you'll run away and you'll never do it again.
Or just frustrated.
Yeah.
Just frustrated. This isn't working. And all the time it is working, but because of their attitude, their concept of it, they believe it's not working.
They're hitting the water the wrong way.
Interfering, right, with another belief, right? So that's the thing. It's a science. Why is it a science? Because it's repeatable by anybody. Anybody who is able to hear the message on how we create that attitude will have the experience. That pleasant, comfortable, joyful, blissful experience of the stillness that is always there waiting for us. Right? Thoughts come and go. It's the stillness in which everything is happening. You can't miss it because you are. And all you need to do is appreciate the teachings. And the teachings are this. How do I get the attitude? First of all, I don't try to meditate.
Exactly.
It's a waste of time.
Yeah.
You can't make it. You can't force it. There's too many things happening in Mother Nature for it to happen in the first place. The other thing is I don't look for anything. Right? Because if I'm looking for something, I have a concept of what the experience is going to be like, and I'm losing the experience by trying to conceptualize what the experience is going to be. Right? I don't expect anything. Right? Just like from one night to the other, you don't know what you're going to dream. From one meditation to the other, you don't know what the stress is that you're going to be experiencing that's going to be released. So whether it's going to be calm or active, you have no idea.
And I think the expectation is the hardest thing, and that's the ego where, whether it's in meditation and life experiences, people set sort of these expectations for themselves and for others, which is the worst thing you could do.
And if the mind does that, and the mind is always wrong.
Completely.
How many times has the mind been right?
Oh, very, very little. And the thing is, it's just because you set this standard, this expectation, and how can you set such a materialistic, experience for yourself? And
it's also a limitation of what you are. Like you're way beyond anything you could ever expect of yourself.
I know.
Right? And so let go. Right? And the last attitude we take is, I don't resist anything. Because stress again comes in. I resist any experience in meditation. I'm just suppressing.
I think that's the greatest piece of information that you could probably, and I think that many people are going to take away, is the resistance. Let go of it. It's okay to have those thoughts.
Yes.
They have to come out. And it's just like people who try to sleep at night and say, I can't sleep. Well, it's because those thoughts, those emotions are just oozing out of them because they haven't had the opportunity, or they haven't taken the opportunity to really let them happen. And so they suppress them even when they're trying to fall asleep at night.
And even beyond that, because of how in our society today we push the mind. It used to be once upon a time, but it isn't anymore. But it's no longer sufficient for us. We need that deep, deep rest. Just 20 minutes of this transcendental meditation, equivalent to 2 to 3 hours of sleep for you. In just 20 minutes. Regular practice will do for you over time. The science has shown that with this regular practice on a daily basis over a 5-year period.
Now, that's not enough to get people to start. Everyone's looking for that fountain of youth, and truly, meditation can provide you with that youthfulness and the energy that you. And I personally have experienced that through meditation. I was more restful, and not only that, when I did go to sleep at night, I had a more restful sleep because all those thoughts, all those emotions weren't trying to get out of me when I was trying to close my eyes and sleep.
Yes.
So I have found that my issue is that I need to learn to be more consistent, and I'm sure that's with everybody. But
we have love,
Yes.
For our family. And that love in itself is distracting us, and we believe that others first and me after, me last, right? But that's a false concept.
It is a false concept.
You have to be first. You have to be first.
Well, how can you take care of other people if you can't take care of yourself?
Exactly.
And how can you love other people?
How can you teach others to take care of themselves when you're not taking care of yourself?
No, I agree, and I think that's where the conscious parenting has really come into play for me, is that I need to take care of myself and, practice what I preach so that my children will see that and experience it in their own way. We're going to take another quick break, and we're going to keep going with Lafon Baz, because I think that there's a few more things maybe we could touch on before we go. And so we'll take a quick break, and we will Quantum Love Radio on CKLU-FM 96.7 FM. And I'm your host, Miranda Rocca-Tritelli. And again, we're here with Mr. Lafon Baz talking about meditation and everything to do with meditation, everything about meditation. And really, I'm hoping that we are profoundly affecting people to really just take that moment of stillness in their life and start practicing meditation because of the transformational effects I believe that it has. So I guess I'll get into maybe my question for you, and this comes from a very, personal standpoint. I have small children, and, with the chaos of life, of course that's an excuse for not taking responsibility to be consistent in my meditation practices. How can I influence those around me, including my children, to meditate, and even teach them what is meditation? So maybe you can help me a little bit, and hopefully help others out there who are maybe in a similar position.
The first thing I tell the people that come to my class is this: I don't push it. People will want this when they're ready.
Okay.
The best way to promote meditation is to practice meditation.
Okay.
Become the embodiment of what you want others to be.
Okay.
The Dalai Lama, who said, "Become what you want others to become."
Yes.
Right. Or was it Gandhi? Right.
I think it was Gandhi.
Gandhi, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so Maharishi always told us, mind your own business. Mind it.
Okay.
And as you mind your own business, you will become the embodiment of what this is all about. You will be truth. You will be love.
Okay.
You will be pure energy. You will radiate from within and without that which everybody else is in the first place. And deep down inside, everybody wants this. Everybody's looking for this.
Of course.
Why am I working so hard? Why am I trying to make so much money? Because I want to be able to sit down and relax and enjoy. Enjoy being. Right? But we get lost in the getting, and we get lost touch with being. Mind is for one thing only. It's for getting.
Okay.
Right? Because it's not happy. It's not satisfied. Right? But that which you are, basically, with Him, right? What you are is pure love. And what is love for? Love is for giving.
That's right.
Right? And the first place you give is to yourself.
That's right.
And if you give to yourself, then you have lots to give. But if you don't give to yourself, you drain yourself. My mother, at 40 years old, didn't want to even see Christmas anymore. She was drained. Mentally, physically, emotionally. She had drained herself giving to her children and to her brothers and sisters and to her husband. She had nothing left to give. Right? Whereas if you give to yourself, not the everyday objects of life that mind is trying to satisfy itself with, but what you give to yourself, you give the gift of self to yourself. And that self that you are, on a quantum level, is an infinite source of energy and creativity. You are that. It's not something that you have, it's what you are. And the meditation is a technique that allows you to fall into yourself, to experience that self. And in that state, you're in the now of the self, and you tap into an infinite source of energy that will feed your body, feed your mind, feed your heart, feed your community. And as you do that, you'll draw people onto you.
And I mean, I've experienced that personally because, and we were even talking about the show on the break and how, just allowing that all to happen and not, sure, I could be stressed or worried that I don't have anything prepared or anything like that, but I figured, you know what, I'm going to be in the now and just let it happen. Let it flow. And, even when I asked you, what should we talk about, and you said, it just seems to flow, and it really does, because we're not working with resistance. We're just letting it all just kind of be. And I think that, people can do in their day-to-day life, just let it flow.
Yes. And
it's such a hard concept for people, though. Yes. They just fight it all. And it's okay to fight it for, because that's your conditioned way of being. And just eventually, I think that people will learn to just let it flow.
Yes. And so minding my business is taking the time every day to sit down, close my eyes, and do nothing. Do absolutely nothing. As I sit there do nothing, I fall awake to the truth of what I am. Now, before I had a complete experience of that, to the core of my being, I spent some 22 years till they got sick of hearing me talk about meditation.
That's right.
And then I gave up. I said, I can't do anything. And so I listened to the Maharishi, concentrated on myself, and out of the blue, 19 years ago, 2 people came to me and said, I hear you teach meditation. I said, no, I don't. Yeah, but I hear you know how to teach meditation. I said, I have an idea. No idea what I was going to do.
That's right, but it just
And so we sat down, we did an 8-week course, and voila, they liked it. They said, can we do it again?
Oh, yes.
And then 5-6 people showed up. And they liked it.
It's just like that example of when you have, for example, you're in school and you have this math problem and you can't figure it out, and they would say, just walk away from it, let it be, and the answer will come to you. And of course, when you come back to it, there it is. And I found in my own life, the exact same thing has happened, where you're trying to force something and you're working with resistance, and it's not working. It's just not working. And the moment you turn your head, and I almost call it, there's a distraction factor where if something's not working out, just find something else that you're passionate about, something else that is going to allow you to immerse yourself into.
Or just go cut the grass.
Yeah, and just let it be.
Wash the dishes, whatever.
And it will just happen.
Yes.
And that's exactly what has happened to me, where things just fall into place when I am not stressing them. I am not working with resistance. I'm working with the flow, just like water. Always finds the least resistant path to where it needs to go. Be that water and just go with the flow. And it just, every time, it works out. I don't know how long it's going to take to work out. And that's where you have to learn to be patient with the outcome and not have any expectation associated with the outcome, and just know that whatever way it's meant to work out, it will work out for your greatest benefit as well. And it does.
And that's an out-of-mind experience.
Yes.
Out of mind, totally out of mind. As long as we're in mind, all the mind can conceptualize the problem. And as long as the problem fills the mind, there's no room for a solution.
And that's where you have to be part of the solution.
used to say, right, to every situation there's a solution. But the solution does not come. You are the solution. You already are that. And in the stillness, it pops up. And then we use the mind to give it structure, so that mind is a tool that we need to use, but what's happened is the mind is control.
That's right, and that's where that, like I said, that modern age zombie, where so many people are just on that autopilot, and the mind that's been conditioned, they're just, they wake up, they do this, they do that. There's no time to be in the now.
And it's continuously being conditioned.
It is. It never ends.
Yeah.
And that's where,
that's the prison. And people, like what I did when I first started meditating, or before I started meditating, when I realized that I was stressed, I ended up in the hospital literally, totally stressed.
Well, usually people realize they're drowning when they're drowning.
Yeah, and so I backed off. And I thought, okay, fine, I'll go to school and learn how to take care of myself. So I came to Laurentian, studied all the different sciences.
That's right.
Yeah. Nothing happened. Right? I was putting all kinds of stuff in my prison, which is the mind, but no matter how much you decorate the mind, as the Samna tradition says, it's still a prison.
Yes.
Right? I had to go out of my mind. And luckily I found a way to go out of my mind in a structured manner with the meditation.
That's right.
That is going to help me not go out of my mind, totally out of control later on in life.
That's right.
Okay? But that's a misnomer as well. Going out of your mind is not going out of your mind. It's being totally lost in the mind that is totally confused. Right? So we need to find something beyond the mind that becomes our anchor.
That's right. That can direct you through the chaos.
Yes.
Because the thing is, if you have many years of that chaos, the suppressed emotion, all that stuff, well, there's chaos in there, but you need a way to basically find your way through that haze so that you can get to the other end.
Transcend it.
That's right.
Yes.
So that's exactly it.
Yes.
And it's that mindfulness that people just they need to learn.
Beyond mindfulness is what we call soulfulness. Okay. And in soulfulness, we're not struggling with the mind. In mindfulness, there's still some struggle there.
Okay.
Right? I've had many Buddhist meditators come to my classes.
Okay.
People have been meditating for 20, 50 years. And he kept saying to me, it's so hard to find nirvana. So hard to find nirvana.
That's
still mind
looking for it.
And then one person, I said, well, he had said to me, I hate meditating. He was a Buddhist meditator for about 10 years. Young man, about 30. I says, well, why do you meditate then? He says, I have to because it's my religion. Okay? Says, here we don't meditate because we have to. This is not a religion. This is not mind struggling with mind. This is letting the mind be. Let it be. Because in our struggle with the mind, we've imposed upon mind, with the choices we made, all kinds of situations, all kinds of learning, all kinds of programming. And not only that, society has done the same thing to our minds, and we haven't given the mind the time to just do what it needs to do. I'm not mindful of the mind. I'm mindful of me, aware of the mind.
Got it.
My attention is on me, aware of the mind. And that way, I'm not struggling with it. I'm forgiving. Love is forgiving.
That's right.
I allow it, right? It's not its fault. Because if it was, it's like taking a computer and there's a virus that comes in there.
Yes. I think the discussion of forgiveness is an entire new...
And so it's not so much forgiving myself, but forgiving the mind-body for doing what it's doing.
That's right.
Right? And forgiveness comes from spirit, from the truth. If you want to heal the body, you can't do it without healing the mind. That's what psychology is. I know. And even in psychology, they say to heal the mind, first we have to heal the heart. The only thing that the heart needs is love. That's right. Love that we lack in life. Where are we going to find that love? Everybody's looking for it. From within yourself. You are, on that deep, deep level, the source of love that your heart needs to heal. And as the heart heals, the mind will heal. The mystery of the mind changes, and that heals the body. Start where we need to start. No, and it's like I said, it's transformational because it really is. When you start feeling that love, your life changes. And for the better. And I know you just touched on forgiveness, but I think that the art of forgiveness, which is a true virtue, when you can learn to forgive on all levels. For the mind, it's a learning process. Yes. For the real you, it's a state of being. It is. You are the embodiment of love. Of course, your love is forgiving. But for the mind, it doesn't make any sense. No, it doesn't. Forgive. And it's such, you want justice. The mind wants justice. And it's such a horrible thing because all that resentment that you fester when you aren't tapping into forgiveness, it's just it creates the disease. Forgiveness is a selfish thing. It is. Yes, it's for you. I can't believe we're conditioned for such a simple act that has such a large impact on us. And when you can learn to forgive, you can learn to live. Yes. I really believe that. And I've experienced it where, it's not an easy thing. And people say, well, whoever's done, harm to you or they've done something. It is such a hard thing to learn to forgive. Yes. And you won't learn to forgive unless you have been done harm to. And if you can forgive someone who truly, truly hurt you, then you got it. But if somebody stole $1 from you, that's easy. It is. Well, for some, we have those different levels, but it's a really hard thing to do, and I try myself in my daily life to, and like you said, it starts with forgiving yourself for the thoughts, for whatever it is, but you have to learn how to forgive yourself, and I think in forgiving others, you forgive yourself. And it goes hand in hand. It does go hand in hand, but some people don't realize that, and when they hold, the resentment of not forgiving others, they hold the resentment against themselves as well. And that just lies in your soul and festers and just creates such disharmony in your life that, for me, it's been a hard thing to do, but it's been such a fulfilling thing to learn how to do. And then to teach it to my children at such a young age. I'm hoping that they take that with them. Again, children absorb. Oh, well, they do. They absorb, and they learn from what you do more than what you say. Well, and it's, and of course I've read the studies and stuff. The whole mind is at a different frequency, that of which, when people get hypnotized, their frequency, their brain frequency is reduced to that of when they're a child, so that it's more open, it's more susceptible. And so for me, it's understanding that it's not what you say
You know, it is what you do, but in your emotions. They feel the energy, much like animals do, where people always say, well, I don't know, my dog knew there's a storm coming, or they could tell when I'm sad, because they feel more than anything. And so for me and my husband, it's a conscious, you know, way of being that they can sense what you're feeling. So for me, it makes me stop and feel it and release it so that they understand and they feel all of that.
And it's okay to feel it.
That's right. Well, you have to, right?
Yeah.
If you don't feel it, that's suppressing
it. You don't suppress it. You just don't act on it.
That's right. And I mean, we all get caught. And it's not to say that, you know, there aren't moments where, but I catch myself. And I say to myself, you know, go and feel what you need to feel instead of acting out, because it's coming from the wrong place. So feel it, release it, and then let the love come in. And it's a hard thing to do. I mean, because you still get caught up in the old conditioning and the chaos of life and the influences. But I think that once you start to meditate, you just create this awareness.
But again, it has to be regular.
Yes, I know.
It has to be regular.
I'm
Without regularity, it's a cumulative process.
It is.
You know, cumulatively, we acquired all this garbage over the years, and then we can't just get rid of that. We look to, you know, medicine with their drugs to give us instant magic bullet, right? But we die from the symptoms of the medication.
We do.
Right? The thing is this, with patience and time, with regularity, cumulatively, we release a little bit at a time. Otherwise it'll be overwhelming, right? Without regularity, it's not going to happen. Remember, she says, you meditate once in a while, you take a shovel full of dirt out, and then in the meantime you put 2 back in.
That's right.
Okay? There's no progress there.
No.
It's like dyeing a cloth in India. This is how Maharshi explains it.
Okay.
In India, when they dye the cloth, they'll take the piece of linen, and they'll put it in a dye. Right, until it's totally imbibed for about 20 minutes.
Okay.
And then they take it out of it, and the sun will bleach it, but a little bit will be left behind. Take it and put it to dye again for another 20 minutes, and then expose the sun again, and again the sun will bleach it, but now a little bit more stays behind.
Okay.
And cumulatively like that, back and forth for a few weeks. Next thing you know, no matter how long it's exposed to, the mind covers that up.
That's right.
We're all born as beautiful little angels in love, pure love. So we take a bath in love and meditate. And then we come out, back into activity, and it dissipates. But a little bit stays behind. And then we do it again in the evening. Out and again dissipates, but a little bit more stays behind. And with regularity like that, back and forth, eventually it's there. That part of you that is the witness, the part of you that is the being that you are, it's always there.
And I think that's where people have to be patient, because depending on how much of the conditioning or how much they've gone through this life and another life and whatever, it might take more time, and you have to be patient with that process, and that's where a lot of people do it for a little bit and then they give up.
Patience and dedication to yourself, making yourself again more important than anything else, because when you leave this world, you're not taking anything with you other than yourself.
No, you're not.
Everything else you're going to lose, whether it's family or money or possessions or whatever. You come here with nothing, and you leave here with nothing. What's so important about all of this, right? What's so important is we're here ultimately, all of us, to wake up to who and what we are.
That's right.
We started by waking up to our bodies, and we thought, this is what I am. And then eventually we went to school, and we woke up to our minds. We said, oh, this is what I am. And eventually in our teen years, we discovered deep, deep emotions. Oh, no, this is what I am. And we stop there. We don't go any further than that. And we identify with the experience, but where's the experience in all that? So ultimately in life, we need to complete the process.
Got it.
And that's what the meditation, which is having the experience of the body, the mind, and the emotions.
That's a beautiful way to even end this discussion, which could probably go on for some time.
Yes, I'm sure.
I want to thank you so much, because for me, it enlightens me to have these discussions. Can
I finish with letting people know that the teachings are still happening?
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask you for your coordinates. Yes, please do.
It's Inner Lights, INNERLIGHTS.ca.
Okay.
The course is at the Canadian Hearing Society on Tower Street, starting again on the 10th and the 11th of September. Okay. 5:45. Okay. And the course. Perfect. And that's, I think, so that gives nobody an excuse not to go. Oh, but the mind will find one. The mind will always find one. And what I will do is, for those of you who have missed our show, I will also post it, and I'll post the information Dawn has just given me on my website, and along with a recording of the show, so you can find me at howtousetheLawOfAttraction.biz. You can also follow me on Twitter at MompreneurGuru, and I will
have the recording posted on the show and on my website, and that way you can listen to it again and again and again. And hopefully I'll have Dawn on again so we can chat some more, because I'm sure we have a lot more. We can probably get a lot deeper into this discussion. Yeah, I know, exactly. So I want to thank you again so very much for coming. And if anyone has any questions, you can reach me through my website. And hopefully you will take Don up on his meditation, because I can tell you that after, it's been 6 years for me, and I still use your method, and it's literally life transforming. So I hope you enjoyed today, and I hope you have a blessed day. Don, did you want to say something? No?
Enjoy.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you all soon.